Good afternoon, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Welcome back again. Thank you for joining me. So I have some news to share with you for November, is it 12 today? I think, yes, no, November 11, 2021. Thank you. So I will start with a video circulating on Kayo multimedia service. The video is showing uh, the downing of uh, Ethiopian fighter jet by TDF. So let's see that video and go to other presentation. Here we go. Okay, so that's the video. But it's on Cairo multimedia service. It's not clear where the downing of Ethiopian fighter jet took place. It's shared like an hour or so ago by Cairo multimedia service. So check it out with other medias if they carry this downing of Ethiopian, fighter jet by TDF in the war front. And if I got something new, I will come back and share with you. So that's, if it's true, is encouraging, because these planes and the drones are hitting civilians, killing civilians, especially in the Wallo front. It's very tense. So many civilians are killed, and so many civilians are injured, properties destroyed by such kind of planes, drones ordered by Abiy Ahmed in this military conflict. So please also check with other medias and to get more, information. So the Ethiopian government showed little interest on, for dialogue or reconciliation or for ceasefire advocated by the United States, European Union, United Nations. Today, Ambassador Dina Mufti put an ultimatum for a peace deal to start. Two of them, the ultimatum of these ultimatums are one is TDF must withdraw from Afar and Amara region. This must be done. Second, TDF must recognize Abiy Ahmed as a legitimate elected governor or prime minister of Ethiopia. So these are two, I think more than two, but these are the most ultimatum described by foreign spokesperson, foreign ministry spokesperson, Ambassador Dina Mufti. The other thing is in one side they say this, but on the other side they are intensifying. The Ethiopian government is intensifying a renewed military operations in multiple fronts in North Amara, North Shoa zone, Mille in Afar, and also in Gondar, Gojam front, plus also in various parts of Oromia region. So there is no sign for peace on Ethiopian side. There is, the mobilization is heavy, and the planning is very tense, and the operation is very tense to retake all the positions controlled by TDF and OLA, Oromo Liberation Army. That's a new update. And also, if you hear FANA Broadcasting Corporation from, from the command center for emergency command center, they are, reporting victory for Ethiopian Defense Force and for and militias who engage in this war front, and also indicating punitive measure taking place against those maybe in the security force acting against ongoing operations. So who don't know who these people? Probably the Tigrayans who are in the security force, because they are the suspect. They are the suspect. Tigrayans in the security force and the Tigrayans in a civil administration. All those private Tigrayans are the target of Abiy Ahmed operation these days. The other thing, Abiy Ahmed spoke today for some time. He was talking about media propaganda against Ethiopia, against Addis Ababa. There's nothing happening. It is just a propaganda. It's the same like 1991 when TDF coming to Addis Ababa. They are far, he said, they are far about 150 or 200 kilometers, but the propaganda intensified, and that propaganda, according to him, helped the TDF to walk easily into Addis Ababa. So this time he say, don't be frustrated by, organized international media propaganda against Addis Ababa or against his administration. Nothing is happening. He tried to say the capital city is safe, and he is not going anywhere. He doesn't have another country. He will, sacrifice for Ethiopia. So he was saying all these things, convincing Ethiopians that the country is, safe and nothing happening. Don't be frustrated. Don't be disturbed by ongoing media propaganda. That's why he's telling them. He is, suggesting that there is no, a door for peace, and he's not going anywhere. He's ready to sacrifice. He's ready to die. As Ethiopian, he said, we live like Ethiopians and we die like Ethiopians. That was his words. So he tried to convince the Ethiopians, the international community, Addis Ababa, the capital city, is secured. It's not threatened by any TDF or OLA forces. So that is, and what I can see is there is no door, no opening for peace under Abiy Ahmed. That's why I can see from his media propaganda, from his speech, and from also from Mr. Dina Mufti ultimatum, there is no door for peace. Ethiopia is determined to fight back and take the country by force, and determined to lead by iron hands. So the European Union, the United States, United Nations, uh, I think they got to find another way to deal with this guy. Expressing concern, expressing frustration, expressing, your warning. Uh, this group in power is not working. It's not working. You got to find something else. You got to find something powerful to deal with the issue with the withdrawal of Eritreans, the issue to deal with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, because he's killing all uh, civilians, before he's destroying the country. He already did uh, a lot of destruction, a lot of killings, a lot of bloodshed already happening. So you guys, the United Nations, US, AU, United Nations, US, AU, European unions, concerned citizens media is telling you, don't waste your time going back and forth between Ethiopia and your prospective country or institution. Don't waste your time expressing your concern and expressing your warning about Ethiopia. Sit down, look for another alternatives to deal with Abiy Ahmed. That's my message for you. Don't waste your time. From all indications, Abiy Ahmed and his officials, his Prosperity Party, are not ready for dialogue. They are not ready for reconciliation or ceasefire. So you need to find a different approach. You need to come with a different approach to stop this bloodshed in Ethiopia, to find a way to settle this issue. So that's my message, and let's see a couple of, maybe one or two reading, then two videos. I will make it short, today's presentation. Thank you again. Ethiopian staff working for the United Nations or African Union do not live in space and will be punished for any law breaking, the government said on Thursday, after the arrest of several UN employees for unspecified offenses. Ethiopia declared a state of emergency on November 2nd after rebellious forces from the northern region of Tigray and their allies made territorial gains and threatened to march on the capital. Since then, hundreds of Tigrayans have been arrested in Addis Ababa, families and colleagues say, along with 16 UN staff members whose ethnicity has not been disclosed. It's already disclosed. They are Tigrayans, I think, already disclosed. 7 of the UN staff were later released. Police say the arrests are not ethnically motivated. UN staff who reside in Ethiopia should respect the law of the country, Foreign Minister spokesman Dina Mufti told a news conference. They live in Ethiopia, not in space. Whether it is a UN or AU staff member, they shall be held accountable. Uh, Foreign citizens have also been caught up in the wave of arrests. A very small number of British nationals have been detained in Ethiopia, and the UK government has formally raised their cases with the Ethiopian authorities and requested immediate consular access, the UK government told Reuters. A US State Department spokesperson said the United States is concerned about reports of detention of a number of US citizens in Ethiopia and is in discussion with the Ethiopian government about it. An Italian aid worker was arrested on Saturday with 2 Ethiopian colleagues, said Italy's foreign ministry and Volontariato Internazionale per lo Sviluppo, the organization that employs them. Dina reiterated the government's stance that it would not hold ceasefire talks with leaders of the Tigray People Liberation Front because its forces have not yet withdrawn from the neighboring Amhara and Afar regions. He said the other two conditions for a ceasefire were the Tigrayan forces stop their attacks and recognize the government's legitimacy. Oh, okay. These are the three. One, withdrawal from Amara and Afar. Second, stop attack their offensive. And the third one, recognized Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed as a legitimate Prime Minister of Ethiopia. The African Union envoy for the Horn of Africa, Olusegun Obasanjo, and the U.S. Special Envoy Jeffrey Feltman have both visited Ethiopia this week to push for a ceasefire. Also on Thursday, the state-affiliated broadcaster Fana reported that the Ethiopian military, fighting alongside regional forces and allied militia, repulsed attacks by Tigrayan forces near the town of Kamise in Amhara. The TPLF said last week it had seized Kamise, 325 kilometers, 200 miles from the capital Addis Ababa. Reuters was unable to independently verify that. Fana also reported soldiers pushed back. Tigrayan forces tried to capture the town of Mile in Afar, which lies along the highway linking the port of Djibouti to landlocked Ethiopia. The TPLF spokesperson didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. The spreading conflict has killed thousands of civilians and forced more than 2 million people from their homes. Two diplomatic sources said on Thursday that the European Union is evacuating non-essential staff from Ethiopia. Several other nations have advised nationals to leave. So, credit for this, Reuters. So that's the situation. That is the situation in Ethiopia. It's very bad. Foreign nationals leaving, government arresting, internationally protected UN drivers, UN employees, and other, people working in different companies. So he is targeting foreigners. So the country is already isolated. The country, need international aid, especially the Tigrayans and the Amaras and Afars. They need humanitarian aid, but what he did, the government arrest drivers who are transporting this needed humanitarian aids. So he is just purposely blocking humanitarian aid to Tigray and other areas. So that's the situation. That's a very tough one. Okay, this is for the Veterans Day message from President Joe Biden. For generations, Americans have answered the call to serve, taking the sacred oath to defend our ideals of liberty and democracy. These patriots represent the best of us. On Veterans Day, we honor their service, dedication, and valor, and are forever grateful for their sacrifices. So that is a message for veterans who served this country with great honor and dedication. Okay, that's enough on the reading. Thank you. Let's share a couple of videos. Make it short, today's presentation. There we go. Apologies for these technical issues. There we go. I make it now. There we go. Let's see. Come on.
And let's get you some breaking news out of Sudan, because we are hearing that the army chief there has appointed a new ruling sovereign council. You'll recall that last month Abdel Fattah al-Burhan dissolved Sudan's transitional government, and he also detained civilian leaders in a military takeover. Let's get more on this story. Hiba Morgan is joining us on the line from Khartoum. Hiba, what more do we know about this announcement that's been made?
Well, the announcement was made on state television, and the members that are included in the Sovereignty Council have been announced. It includes General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who is the head of the Sovereignty Council, the same position he held in the previous Sovereignty Council, which he dissolved on the day of the takeover on October 25th. His deputy will be General Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, that's the head of the paramilitary rapid support forces. Also included in that Sovereignty Council are the members, the military members of the Sovereignty Council. So some places of that new Sovereignty Council come from the old one that was dissolved by the general on the day of the military takeover. They're also members of the armed groups. They also retain their position as per Juba peace agreement signed between the transitional government, which was dissolved, and the various armed groups in the South Sudanese capital, Juba, in October 2015 and 2020. So some of those members in the Sovereignty Council that were read out today come from the old Sovereignty Council, but there are also new members on the list. Some of them are independent as per their positions, which they were running for, or rather during political campaigns. They were claiming they were independent, and others are new names that were not in the previous government. Members, civilian members from the Forces of Freedom and Change coalition are not included in the Sovereignty Council. And this all comes as people continue to protest against the military takeover. We've seen mass protests on October 30th against the military takeover, saying that they don't want the army to decide the governing pillars of this transitional government, and they've rejected the takeover and anything that would come with it. So this is likely to inflame the protest movement further. There has been calls and mobilizations for more protests on November 13th. And if anything, with protesters angry at the takeover, it is likely that we will see this decision angering them more.
Okay, and we will keep an eye out on the streets. Hiba Morgan, for the time being, thank you so much for that update from Khartoum.
Okay, I'll do one more video.
Baby, triplet! What are we gonna do?
Okay, this is the last one.
Willem de Klerk was born on the 18th of March 1936 in Mayfair, a working-class suburb of Johannesburg. His father, Jan, was a history teacher, his mother, a housewife. F.W., the name he was to be known by, was born into a family steeped in political tradition. Several of his grandparents were actively involved in the politics of their day. His father's sister married advocate J.G. Stradom, later Prime Minister. His father served on the Transvaal Provincial Council and in 1965 was named a senator, serving in the cabinet until taking up the post of President of the Senate. The greater part of F.W. de Klerk's school days was spent in Krugersdorp, where he matriculated in 1953 at the Monument High School. In 1958, he graduated from Potchefstroom University with a BA LLB cum laude. It was at Potchefstroom that he met his future wife, Marika Willemse. They were married in 1959. After university, F.W. de Klerk completed his articles and joined a firm of attorneys in Vereeniging. In November 1972, he was elected Member of Parliament for Vereeniging. 6 years later, Premier John Vorster gave him a post in the cabinet. He was responsible for several portfolios, including sport, posts and telecommunications, and national education, becoming chairman of the Ministers' Council in the House of Assembly in May 1985, and a year later, leader of the House. F.W. de Klerk also rose through the ranks of the National Party. In March 1982, after the right-wing split led by Dr. Andries Treurnig, he was elected Transvaal leader of the National Party, a position he held until 1989. In February that year, he succeeded Mr. P.W. Botha as MP leader, later becoming acting state president. On the 18th of September 1989, F.W. de Klerk was sworn in as South Africa's second executive state president. From the outset, he committed himself to forging stronger bonds between South Africa's various communities. His speech at the opening of Parliament on the 2nd of February 1990 will go down as one of the most momentous in South Africa's history.
It is time for us to break out of the cycle of violence and to break through to peace and reconciliation. The silent majority is yearning for this. The youth deserve it. The season of violence is over. The time for reconstruction and reconciliation has arrived.
Restrictions on banned organizations are lifted, and several long-term political prisoners, among them Mr. Nelson Mandela, are released. Early in his presidency, Mr. de Klerk makes it clear that he places a high premium on South Africa's relations with foreign countries. He undertakes an extensive overseas tour where he meets several heads of state. His speech at the opening of Parliament on February the 1st, 1991, saw the realization of many of the goals he had set his administration. He announces the scrapping of all racially based legislation, including the Population Registration Act, the very pillar of apartheid. Worldwide, his courage and his achievements are lauded, and for the first time in decades, the walls of international isolation begin to crumble. In May, he visits the United Kingdom, Denmark, and ERA, thus concluding his face-to-face meetings with the leaders of the 12 European Community states. Back home in July, he faces one of his greatest challenges in the wake of revelations of secret government funding of Inkatha. He makes radical changes to the processes governing secret funds and reshuffles ministerial portfolios, his first opportunity to put his stamp on the cabinet. F.W. de Klerk, the man who led South Africa towards negotiations.
Okay, thank you for the South African TV for that, credit for the last South African apartheid president, F.W. Klerk. Concerned citizens media appreciate the remark, the change he made, in 1990 and thereafter. If something is, working against you, and if something is changing and you can hold it. Is I appreciate changing according to the situation, like calling to end violence in South Africa, and conducting or implementing other changes for inclusiveness in South Africa after all this horrible treatment of black South Africans by apartheid regime. So we are missing something like this in Ethiopia. Abiy Ahmed, he knows the country is crumbling, the country is falling under him. Still, he vowed to continue the bloodshed. He knows what he's doing is not working. His leadership is a failure. The country is isolated. The country is in a deep inflation and a deep economic crisis. Ethiopia is not safe for Ethiopians and for the global visitors, investors, or international diplomats. So he knows all this, but still, through his media, through his social activists, supporters, through forced protesters, he vowed to fight this war and to continue the bloodshed in that country. If something is not working, he should give a chance for others and see if they can fix, instead of keep destroying the country's economy through war, destroying human lives, fighting with the global community. It's senseless and useless, and also those who are supporting him still, and those who are still keep clamping their hand, whatever he come out from his mouth, appreciating everything what he say, all his lies, all his false propagandas, false hope, they should stop that. They should stop. They should demand his removal for the betterment of the country and for Ethiopian citizens. Let me conclude today's presentation by saying European Unions, I will repeat, European Unions, United States, UN, African Unions, don't waste your time going, back and forth to Ethiopia or talking to these deaf ears. Stop that. It's not working. He's not listening. He's vowed to fight. He's cheating you. So you got to devise a different strategy to save lives in Ethiopia, to save property in Ethiopia, to save that country from collapsing. Don't be, fooled repeatedly by Abiy Ahmed. He's not ready for peace. So you need to find a different solution instead of, repeatedly expressing your concern and warning. This is not working. So come up with a different strategy for that country to settle this bloody war. That's all my message for now. I will be back with other updates. Thank you. And please share, subscribe to my channel, and like it, comment on it. Thank you again. Be safe. So long, everyone.